All right, welcome everybody to Vision Day number 4. So great to have you all. We are about to get started here as people starting to arrive, and people will be continuing to arrive, and really excited to see you here bright and early for most people. And we're going to have an amazing next 3 hours together. So if you are here to learn how to expand your vision, if you're here to learn how to live larger, how to build a life-changing business, if you're here to learn how to recession-proof your business, if you're here just to get some inspiration, some motivation, some encouragement, you are in the right spot. So, hey, just real quick in the chat before we dive in, where's everybody tuning in from today? Drop a 1 in the chat if you can hear me, by the way, because y'all hear me clearly. I guess so, because we got California in the house. No volume, Vince. Drop a 1 in the chat if you guys can hear me before we rock and roll here. Some people have said they can't hear me. Chino Hills, Washington State. Here, I'll pull my mic a little closer. Is this better, guys? Is that a little better? Fantastic. So drop in the chat where you're tuning in from today. Awesome. Thank you for that. Beauty, beauty. Awesome, guys. Hey, we love to see your beautiful faces too. So unless you're in the washroom, turn your phones on, turn your cameras on so that we can connect with you here today. And we are going to get started in just a moment. Love to hear, what are you looking forward to most today in the chat? We've got 3 epic speakers, and I'd love to hear why you are here today, what you're looking forward to most, what's on your mind, where do you need some encouragement? And we're going to dive in. For those who don't know, I kicked this event off a couple months ago off of inspiration from a walk. A lot of our students were telling us that they just weren't sure where they could take their business and lacked vision. And vision is just a preferred future. What does your preferred future look like in terms of income and impact and in lifestyle and in how you deliver your program and contribution? And oftentimes in the process of pursuing those things, it gets painful. The process is very uncomfortable, and vision is what helps give the painful process purpose. So that was one of the reasons that I've wanted to launch this. How many of y'all needed to hear that this morning? Well, hey, let's dive in, guys. I'm super excited here, and we are going to welcome our first speaker to the table here. He is already here, and an individual that I recently met through my moving, not officially there yet, but hopefully soon, God willing, we'll be in Tennessee very, very soon. And Coach Micheal Burt is one of the first people that I got connected with through a good friend of mine, Craig Carpaccio, who's also a former member of the 7-Figure Mastermind, a good friend of mine who I've competed with, and who works with Coach Micheal. And for those who don't know Micheal Burt, he is one of the top business and performance coaches in the world. And he's the #1 leading authority in the world when it comes to activating the prey drive in people. And this is going to have a lot of transfer to you becoming a better coach, and for you to help inspire your people to be better clients. And he's helped tens of thousands of people over the course of his work through speaking engagements, one-on-ones, and his work with Fortune 500 companies and their employees. He's spoken at 10X, Create Your Future, Door to Door Con, Century 21 Global Conference, and Coldwell Banker Gen Blue. And he's also a master at collaborations and teaming up with people and genuinely monetizing relationships. So this guy is a wealth of information. We're super excited to have him on Vision Day 4. Coach Micheal Burt, welcome, brother.
Thank you for having me, man. Excited to be here. Excited to partner up with you. Thanks for, glad you're moving to Tennessee to be my neighbor.
Tell me what you like about Tennessee the most.
Good people, good hospitality, good food, good people. It's just a good place to live. I get to travel all over the world, and it's always good to come home to Tennessee. Nashville is one of the hottest cities in the country. And if you've never been to Nashville, for the people out there, it's really an experience that I've never had people leave and say they didn't enjoy it. So that's what
sorry. I'd love for you to open up with the story that you shared with me. Tell them a bit about the cottage. And we're talking about vision today. And I got to attend an event in January at the cottage. And maybe, Micheal, you could share what you saw that the others didn't see, and what the cottage is, and what you saw, and how you seize that opportunity. And when I got there, I'm like, wow, this is what I want. This is amazing.
Many years ago, I was on a cruise, and they were having workshops on the cruise. And I just thought it was the coolest thing in the world that you could learn while you were out at sea. I was on a cruise to Alaska and then on one to Hawaii. And I thought, man, I had this big revelation that inspirational things happen in inspirational places. And so I started looking for a place. I bought this 8,000 square foot lodge in Tennessee where we do events, coaching, and it sits on 25 acres. And I walked into that place and it's just huge. Just walking in the front door makes you think bigger. And it makes you want to do bigger things. So I walked in, I looked at the real estate agent and I said, I'll buy it. I'll purchase it. I said, we're up a contract right now. And she was like, do you want to see the rest of it? And I'm like, no, I don't need to see the rest of it. I know I can use this lodge to make money. I see coaching events, client appreciation events, concerts. Like 25 people had looked at that lodge, but they didn't have a vision for it. They couldn't understand how to use it. I walked in and saw an asset. This is a place we can do physical. See, we can do physical events there on the land, and we can go inside and do coaching events there. That night we can do a concert there. So it's like, I'm like, this is an asset. And so I started, really buying these cool properties around the country to do my coaching at. So I was happy, number one, as a coach, and I was always motivated. My prey drive was always activated every time I pull up to that place because it just gets you thinking bigger.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I did when I got there too. And maybe we can backtrack a bit before you were thinking that big, and then maybe what led to the bigger time thinking. Tell us a bit about your story, Micheal, growing up, and what you did before you became a motivational speaker, author, and a coach to thousands.
I was actually a high school women's basketball coach at the second largest high school in Tennessee. I got there when I was 19. As an assistant coach while I was in college. I quickly started developing a vision for wanting to be a head coach. And so I started learning behind every great number one's a great number two. And so I was there to serve another person's vision. And a lot of people don't understand that. It wasn't my vision. It was his vision. It was his program. So I served him and what he wanted. And I quickly kind of climbed the ladder to when he retired at 52, I was 22. So I became the head coach at 22 years old. And that made me the youngest head basketball coach in Tennessee at the second largest high school in Tennessee. But what made me unique is I was always fascinated by the psychology of activating a drive inside of a person. So think of it, coaches, as people come to you and they have an idea of their potential. Potential is an idea of kinetic energy that is stored until activated. It is latent and undeveloped. What a coach does is take that potential, engage that person in a set of systematic behaviors that allows them to do something tomorrow versus today. So I was studying the business world, taking ideas from the business world, bringing them back to my team, and I very quickly began to win games, championships, and we built this kind of national powerhouse that we're going to win 7 of 9 state championships in the state of Tennessee. And people were always asking me, what are you doing with the kids? And I said, man, I ain't got time to explain it. So at 25 years old, I started writing books, the first of 17 books on really the psychology and inner engineering of how do I take a person who has potential, some knowledge, some skill, some desire. See, there's coaches on here today, Vince, that are generating money that could be generating 5 times their money, 10 times the amount of money. They have that potential. They're level 10 people, but they're stuck operating at a level 4 level. And something has to come along to activate that potential. And I want you thinking that people are made up of 4 parts: body, mind, heart, and spirit. Each of those parts produces different needs, different intelligences, different dimensions. The best training I've ever had from a physical trainer, Vince, was a Marine who every day did something as part of that training that touched all 4 parts of our nature. We came in as a group of men. We trained at 5 a.m. in the morning. We first sat down and did what he called like a mat chat, where we talked about things we were facing in our lives, in our marriages, with our kids. Then we worked. So that was mental, emotional, spiritual. Then we would exercise. Then at the end, I gave a business lesson to everybody. See, that tapped into the mind. So the workout touched the body, the mind, the heart, and the spirit. And it was incredible. And then we moved to a bigger gym and he quit doing all those things. And I'm like, man, it was great when it was like that. It was touching all 4 parts of our nature. So that's what I did from 19 to 31. 31, I left. I retired as an athletic coach to build a multi-million-dollar coaching company. And so now I speak, coach, train all over the world with some of the top performers in the world.
Micheal, tell me a bit about what you're fighting against when you're coaching people, the person who's got the capability of a 10, but it's operating at a 4. What do you feel like you're fighting against? And, what's the entire country, the entire world fighting against, you feel?
Complacency. Complacency is a gradual settling to a place of mediocrity. Okay. There's a difference between laziness and complacency. Lazy people do not have a work ethic. They've never either worked around a top performer, so they've never seen it physically to know what it's like. They don't have a work ethic that it takes to win. They're lazy, right? They're demotivated. Successful people get away from doing things that it takes to be successful, and they kind of gradually settle to a place of mediocrity, and mediocre means halfway up the mountain. So they settle to go halfway up the mountain. And that's really where our country is. And you say, why? That's a lot about what my new book, Flip the Switch, is about, which is activating the prey drive inside of a person. The reason we become complacent, guys, is because we have satisfied needs. Satisfied needs never motivate, only unsatisfied needs. So if you're satisfied with 50,000 a year and you say, I got a good house and a good life and a good life, then the prey drive is actually suppressed. It is only activated when you actually want something. You want a better life. You want to help more people. You want to make $1 million. You want to give money to a charity. You want to send your kids to a better school. See, satisfied needs never motivate. So the biggest fight we have in America is complacency. This is why Atomic Habits is selling 24,000 copies a week, guys, of that book. It's crazy. And I know because I got a new book out that's competing with that book. And so you ask the question, why? Why is this book selling 24,000 copies a week or month? And when you look at the concept, it's about an atom is a very small thing. And in the book, it talks about an example of a guy getting up and going to the gym, but he only stayed for 5 minutes. Right. And people laugh and they go, well, you can't get better in 5 minutes, but you can build a habit of getting your butt up in the morning and going to the gym. And you can't stay 15 minutes if you can't stay 5 minutes. So that is an atomic thing. It's a very small thing. So a lot of people, Vince, do not have the habits. This is why I cover in my new book, Flip the Switch, the habits of the top 1% of performers, because most people don't know what those habits are. But you can acquire those. That's a good thing.
That's great. And we're going to probably dig into some of those habits too, though. I'd love to know. So this prey drive, let me push back a bit, because some people here, they're scared of success. They're scared of the growth. There could be fallout relationally. There could be also, do I actually deserve this? Do I really need this? Things are pretty good right now. Why keep pushing? What would you say to that? So there's like, a healthy prey drive. Can prey drive be taken to an extreme where it becomes unhealthy? What are your thoughts?
Well, I'm good friends with Tim Grover. Grover wrote Relentless and he wrote Winning because he worked with Jordan and Kobe Bryant and Dwayne Wade. And he wrote Relentless because these guys, he said, you've never met people as relentless as they are. They all have a dark side. And he talks about that in his book. There is a dark side to prey drive. And if not, if not maintained, if not recognized, then yes, anything can become addictive. Anything can become too much. Anything can become out of proportion. Okay. My wife wrote a book called Living with a Monster, which is how you live with a driven person. And so we have regular conversations about this, but it has a lot to do with raw ambition of wanting to do something, but also recognizing the collateral damage that can happen as a result of when it goes too far.
What are some of the things you want to be aware of? Because there are some very driven people here. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, one of my favorite sermons is a sermon by a guy named Jimmy Evans, who called it How to Turn Failure to Success. I listened to that and I said, you could actually be a successful failure. Meaning the world's going to tell you success is money, fame, power, education, good looks, status. That's what the world's going to tell you success is. But could I be a successful businessman and a lousy father? Could I be a great father and a lousy businessman? Could I be a great coach and a lousy friend to my friends? Could I be a lousy son to my mother who raised me as a single mom at 16 years old? See, I wrote down, Vince, you could actually be a successful failure, which means you're very successful in one role of your life, but you're totally failing in another role of your life. Okay, that's what you got to be aware of, because what is it worth for me to go out today and be a successful thing if my 10-year-old daughter don't want to play with me tonight? or my 2-year-old son don't want to have anything to do with me. Or when my 10-year-old daughter's 18, she don't want to talk to me because I spent my whole life building a business. So to me, what you have to be aware of is all 4 parts of your nature. I want intentional congruence. I don't necessarily want balance. I want intentional congruence. And intentional congruence is where everything in my life feeds everything in my life. There's a healthy proportion of everything. So I'm not sacrificing everything just to be whatever, a successful coach. I did that from 19 to 31, guys. 80-hour work weeks, no friends, didn't get married. I pursued winning and I won everything. National championships, best coach in America as a basketball coach, but at a tremendous cost to me. There's a lot of collateral damage. So then at 31, I started going, man, there's got to be a better way to do this. Okay. There's got to be a better way to go get what I'm looking for without sacrificing everything in my life for it. So there is an intentional congruence there.
We're going to get back to the scripted questions here in a moment, but this is what I find most fascinating. What flipped the switch, or what happened when you were 31? Because a lot of people don't figure this out until they hit a rock bottom, hit a midlife crisis, or just hit some major crisis or trauma in their life. What happened? When did you kind of wake up, if you will?
2 things happened. Success had lost its meaning to me. Number 1 is I had no feeling. I had worked so hard for so long. I had no feeling toward success whatsoever. I didn't want to talk about it. So that was one. It was a burnout, which is loss of all joy or passion for something. The second thing was that I was a level 10 dude stuck in a level 4 opportunity. I was making $60,000 a year, working 80 hours a week, and I was the best at that particular game. And I wanted a bigger game. And I had this gnawing at my conscience, like, man, you're a level 10 person stuck in a level 4 vehicle. We need to get, how do we get to another deal? And I really had no intention to coach adults. Guys, I was going to go to college and be a college basketball coach. That was my dream. I had no desire whatsoever to do what I do today. Right. And then I started writing books at 25 years old. People bought my books. Then they'd say, will you come speak? Then they would say, will you coach my people? And the next thing you know, they were offering me more money to coach their teams. I was making more in an hour than I was making in a month. And that's when I started having these big revelations, like, man, I think I can do this. Like, I enjoy doing this. I enjoy coaching adults. And that's when I started making this transition.
It's talk to somebody here in the room that needs to make that transition. I love what you just said there. They're level 10 with a level 4 opportunity, but there's imposter syndrome, there's fear, there's just procrastination, whatever it is, indecision. What would you say to that person who knows that they're meant for more? They've outgrown their current career. They're ready to start their own coaching business.
Well, the question is, how long do you wait when you know? And what is the true cost of indecision? The word decide means to kill something off. The word decision means to cut something away. And most people stay in something because it's comfortable. And they are comfortable where they are. And they make a good amount of money. Like, I could have stayed there for years. I could have still been there today. Okay, so that's step 1. Step 2 with imposter syndrome is when you really get in a room with some of the best people in the world. Like when I spoke at 10X, what I really figured out is that those people were not any better than me. They didn't have any more preparation than me. They were just more known than me. They were better marketers than me. Okay. And that was a key learning, because I needed to get better at marketing. I needed to get better. See, think of it this way. You have to find that which makes you unique. You have to package that which makes you unique. You have to market that which makes you unique. And ultimately, you have to monetize that which makes you unique. And so every person on this call is probably going, you know what? I am a level 10 person. I am stuck at a level 4, whatever income level, vehicle you're in. But nothing happens until you decide that you're going to go pro and leave your amateur desires. It took me 17 books to write a Wall Street Journal best-selling book, guys. You know why? On 17, I made a decision. This book is going to be a Wall Street Journal bestseller. I hired a coach. The coach showed me exactly how to do it. He had helped 5 other people with 5 back-to-back bestsellers. I spent the money. I made a simple decision that those people out there that are writing Wall Street Journal bestsellers are no better than me. I just need to decide and learn the game. I need to know what the game is. And once I learn the game, I'm like, all right, I can do this. So this is what everybody on this call has got to do at some point. Make this decision to leave your amateur desires behind and go pro, to make the pro money, to be a pro, to have the habits of the top 1% of performers. And nobody can make that decision for you but you.
That's freaking awesome. I love you sharing that. So talk about Prey Drive now and how to start to activate it. I assume this is going to play a massive role in going pro. So I love the term. How do you activate it? Just start unpacking Prey Drive for us.
So I want you to think of prey drive as an animal has a prey drive, Preydrive. And it is the animal's ability to stalk, capture, and kill prey. Okay. Now, I heard this when I was 41 years old. A person just mentioned it in a talk, and he was talking about an animal. I had a big revelation, and I go, humans have a prey drive, but it is not their ability to stalk, capture, and kill something. It's their ability to see something with their eyes. That's vision. Or in the mind. That's vision. It's applied imagination. And to have the persistence and the intensity to go get it, to pursue it. So what I did is I studied the top 20 motivational theories. I deconstructed those theories. I then came out with my own theory of motivation, and that's called Vujade. It's where you bring a fresh perspective to an old way of thinking. Okay, so I go, here's motivational theory number 21. You have a prey drive inside of you. That drive must be activated. There must be a persistence to it. There must be an intensity to it. I then codified it into saying there are 5 activators of that drive. Fear is an activator of prey drive. Competition is an activator of prey drive. Environment is an activator of prey drive. Exposure is an activator of prey drive. Embarrassment can be an activator of prey drive. So basically, the book breaks down these things. And my belief is nothing happens until the prey drive is activated. That is your instinct to pursue. Pursue what? Potential. Partnerships. Like as soon as you got to Tennessee, Vince, what's the first thing I said? You and I should partner on something.
Yep, absolutely.
See, my instinct is to expand. It's not to contract, no matter what the economy is. It's always that there is no shortage of anything. Let's go out and get it.
You see a lot of people trying to expand and contract at the same time. Speak to that. Hey, I'm going to want to grow, but then they also want to pinch the pennies.
See, the natural tendency, you got to look at what big time people do versus what small time people do. Big time people never contract. They always expand. They're always involved in expansion activity, even when they're scared. See, it really comes down, Vince, to how they utilize fear. They're afraid. Like I'm doing a $7 million deal in downtown Nashville right now. You know, I'm building a greatness factory. It scares me to death. Man, I've never built a $7 million facility. I don't even know what I'm doing. Okay. I've never built a commercial building from scratch. But you know what? Every day I wake up and go, all right, let's figure this out. How are we going to finance it? How are we going to get the money? How are we going to build it? I've already rented offices in there and I haven't even started construction of it. So
I already told you I want to do one of our future events there, maybe September. Absolutely.
So it's like, that's expansion. When I wake up in the morning, I have young children. I have a 8-month-old daughter. I have a 2.5-year-old son, and I have a 10-year-old daughter. Children are expansive. They're hungry. They go looking for things. They want to move. They do not want to stay. Well, as adults, that is kind of beat out of us. Okay. What's beat out of us is the prey drive. Life is knocked the shout out of us, as one of my friends says. And what we do is we wake up and we're scared, and we go from fantasizing about how life can be to catastrophizing. That this is negative, compulsive, obsessive worry and anxiety. When I am worried, the first thing I do is go, man, I'm not going there today. I am at my best when I'm in creation. See, I've studied self-talk, how to talk to myself. Positive, precise, powerful language. And when I wake up, I wake up Mondays with a lot of anxiety, Vince. It's like, man, I'm coaching 2,000 people. There's always some kind of problem. I got to figure out how to come up with the money on this greatness factory. I have to train my brain to go, man, I'm not going there today. I'm at my best when I am creating. I am world-class at what I do. I'm the leading authority in the world at activating prey drive. My business is exploding. See, I got to talk to myself in a way. And what I tell myself is very important to this equation, to contraction, because contraction is we got to cut everything. We got to cut out all the things. No, we need to be thinking, how do we expand?
That's really good. And so when you wake up with those feelings, a lot of people live in that constant anxiety, frustration, overwhelm, confusion. It just takes over. Now, what do you do to get out of, let's just kind of jump ahead. I wanted to ask you that. That's a funk to me. Maybe they had a bad day of sales, a bad week of sales. Maybe it's been a bad month. Maybe it's been a bad year. What do you do when you're in a valley of that magnitude where now you're even questioning, maybe I shouldn't even sign up. Maybe I don't belong. Maybe I should go back. Maybe everybody was right. How do you snap out and reframe, or what do you do to get back on track when you're in a funk like that?
I get into movement. I get into motion. Okay. So think of Pray Drive like this. It is not activated when you wake up in the morning. Even highly motivated people wake up demotivated. Okay. The Pray Drive must be activated. So I activate it in 4 parts of my nature: body, mind, heart, and spirit. So when I woke up this morning, first thing I do is I listen to something positive, some kind of music, typically, because music is energy. So I listen to music. Then I go through then I watch or listen to about a 10 to 15 minute sermon to feed my faith. Then I get into physical exercise, right? Then I get into listening to something on business. After all that cycle, now I'm feeding my body, my mind, my heart, and my spirit. Now the Pray Drive is activated. Now I'm ready to go into battle. If I have negative thoughts, okay, we call that the sewer cycle. So I want you to listen to this cycle. This is a tool that I use with my students. It's 2 cycles. The sewer cycle starts with 1 negative thought. This is going to be hard. I'm not making sales. This is miserable. Maybe I need to find something else. That 1 negative thought produces an unconscious negative emotion: fear, worry, doubt, insecurity. That negative unconscious emotion creates tension on the body, tightens the body up, right? High blood pressure, constriction, stress. That produces low or negative performance in people because they're tight. Think of an athlete trying to perform when they're real tight. Okay. Now the success cycle starts with a positive thought. This is going to be awesome, man. Vince's friends are going to be my friends. They're going to like my Southern accent. They're going to like my bald head. They're going to say, this is a cool little dude. They're going to go buy the book, Flip the Switch. Like this is going to be awesome. Guess what that does? Create unconscious positive emotion, eustress, enthusiasm, joy chemicals. That loosens the body up. Guess what that does? Produce high or positive performance. See, I was a basketball coach, and when somebody couldn't shoot or make a score when I knew they knew how to do it, I'd say, what are you thinking before you shoot? You know what they would say? What if I miss this shot? What if I let my team down? And I call that negative town. That's the sewer cycle. Don't go to the sewer cycle. Don't go. Nothing good happens in negative town. See, I got a 10-year-old daughter that has these kind of obsessive negative traits. Like, we did gene testing, and it shows you which genes are broken, which genes she inherited from me and her mother, me and my wife, well, which genes I inherited from my parents that are broken genes. It's really fascinating because it shows that she has an addictive gene, and she can get obsessed on something and just stay on it if it's real negative. So I've had to teach my 10-year-old daughter these tools. We don't go to negative town. Those are negative thoughts. Stay in the success cycle. So anytime you wake up and go to the sewer cycle, just tell yourself, I'm not going there today.
That's so
one thought produces all of that, Vince.
That's really, really good. All right. So that's how you handle bad days, bad weeks. What about just when it's going on and on? I don't push back a bit. You kind of answered it, but people can really, really spiral, right? Yeah. And then it gets bad and it gets worse. Yeah. What are some of the things that are staples, that are pillars, the habits that I know for me, I got to get to events every couple months. Yeah. If I'm not in a room with people who are thinking differently, acting differently, I'm like, I will digress. I will think smaller. And I get to an event, I'm like, geez, why don't I go to these more often? As soon as you're there, you immediately like, I'm glad I'm here. And what are some of the staples that, like you talk about collaborating, like when you get around other people, like I can't show up to your cottage and not have made gains or progress in some shape or form because you're improving. I can't run the event with Bedros in 4 weeks without having made gains because I'm going to feel like an imposter. So getting around people, you talked about environment, exposure, talk more about like those things that you practically do. That what do they actually look like day to day, week to week?
Well, the first problem that people have is the way they're measuring success. They're living in what Sullivan would call the gap between where they are and where they think they should be. And this serves a positive purpose and a negative purpose. The positive purpose is it actually motivates because you're striving towards something. I call it going from A to B. You're at A, That's your current position, and you're trying to get to B. B is your desired outcome. Okay. But if you live in that gap, you're chronically unhappy. Nothing is good enough, because when you get there, you just want more. So the tool is to always measure backward. Here's where I am today versus where I used to be at some point in the past. See, at some point in the past, I was dead broke. I had no more than $2,500 in my bank account. I was a high school basketball coach. I was successful, but not financially. I was playing on a small level. See, anytime I get frustrated, it's because I'm looking to where I think I should be versus where I actually am. And what I should be doing is looking back to where I used to be versus where I am today. Okay. And there's a whole book on this called The Gap in the Gain, which I think I've been coached by Sullivan and strategic coaching. And so I'm a big believer in that. The other thing is this concept of chronic unhappiness. The most successful people I coach are the most unhappy people. And it is because of that reason. They constantly live in that gap. Instead of using the gap to motivate, they use the gap to stay miserable. They're never there. Okay. I was coaching a guy during the 08 recession. You guys will appreciate this. And he was worth 50 or $60 million. I just started my coaching company. And he came to me in depression, misery. The number one thing I said to him, Vince, is we got to get you up and get you moving. You're going to be the first one in the office every day. You're going to be the last one to leave every day. You're going to be in motion. You're going to be an example. And then about halfway through my coaching, when he's miserable, he said, oh yeah, by the way, I have a go broke fund of 10 million in cash. And I said, hold on a second. You're miserable and you can't do anything, but you got a cash account of 10 million. He said, yeah, I just call that. If everything goes to hell, I still got 10 million of cash. And I'm like, do you understand how absurd this is in comparison to most people? Is you're miserable, but you got 10 million of cash over here. If everything goes down the drain, you got 10 million of cash. I said, the way you're looking at this is all wrong, man. You used to work at Winn-Dixie. You started buying single family residential houses. You're worth $50 million. You have 10 million. I said, the way you're looking at the problem is the problem. So when I'm negative, I get into movement. I get into circulation. Like when I don't want to do something, right? When in doubt, take an action. What is the action? Call somebody, follow up with somebody, get in a room. And you mentioned it. You need to be in environments where you have to be at your best. This is what I love from sports. See, in sports, I had a game on Tuesday and a game on Friday. I couldn't get lazy.
Talk a bit about competition. You know, I think a lot of us, we really get caught up in what other people are doing. I know for myself, it comes from a place of feeling like I'm not bringing enough to the table. So I have to see what other people are doing. And I don't feel like what I am or what I'm doing is sufficient. That comes from unworthiness. That's a real deficiency a lot of performers struggle with. Now, competition can also give clarity. I mean, even competition, I've seen a lot of guys cash out, if you will, financially. And then I am hanging out with them personally and they're talking to me about a personal matter. And they say, if I could do it all over again, I'd do it differently, Vince. So there's a value to seeing how not to compete, but how do you use competition in a healthy manner when you're hanging out with these great dudes and you're talking behind the scenes and you're doing events together. You know how it is, right? They start dropping some numbers. And I remember just the other day, I was at a buddy's place in Florida and they're pacing $2 million a month. And he's a guy I mentored. And I said, what's your goal? He's like, I'm going for, I want to be $1 billion business. And I said, why? Because it's like the MBA of, business. And that was just his mindset. I don't know if he actually wants that money or if he even knows what to do with it, but I felt immediately my lower self, like, oh man, maybe I should be thinking bigger, but I know I don't want that. I've outgrown that. I don't want that. That's not who I am. But it can creep up on you really quickly. Somebody else's insecurities or ambitions can become yours. How do you manage that?
I think if you use competition as an activator of your prey drive to expand, you're always going to be in rooms where people are doing bigger things. Like if Michael Jordan's worth, $2 billion, that's a lot. But if you put him in a room with Bezos, Jeff Bezos, who's worth 200 billion, it's not a lot. So it's all relative here, and so I don't get caught up in using competition like, well, that person's got a coaching company doing more than my coaching company, or his net worth is greater than my net worth, or because it's all relative. And I use competition just to get better. So if I speak at an event and it's me and Ed Milet and Tim Grover and whoever I'm on a stage with, I just use it to bring out the best in me. I'm like, man, these guys are great at what they do. I want to be my best. And there's going to be people in the audience that like them. There's going to be people in the audience that like me. So my confidence is not predicated by what other people think about me or in comparison to other people. My confidence is predicated by what I think about me. Confidence is a memory of success. So it's a game that you can't win because you're constantly competing. So I look at, like, when I wrote this book, Flip the Switch, I want it to be a Wall Street Journal bestseller. Well, I may go out and push as hard as I possibly can, and there still could be somebody out there who has 4 million followers, or they have more people than me and they sell 2,000 more books. Like they were telling me last week that, Lewis Howes had sold 6,000 more books than me. And that actually made me feel good because he's a lot more known than I am. He has a school of greatness. He's actually way more known than I am, but he only sold, in comparison, 6,000 more books than me. And I'm like, well, that's positive, man. If it's all
How you look at it.
Yeah, it's all relative. So use competition as an activator of your prey drive, but don't use it as a value of your self-worth.
That's really good, Michael. Talk about vision being a crucial part of going through pain and achieving your purpose. I don't think anybody sees this asterisk when they sign up for becoming great. But, oh yeah, I also have to go through a painful process. But I'd love to even hear just maybe a personal story. Where have you been in a place where you're like, holy crap, this is not going as expected. This is not good.
Well,
but the vision pulled you through.
At 25 years old, I went through 6 months of depression, clinical depression. I thought I was going to get married. I didn't end up getting married. I had to take an engagement ring back. It's a very lonely day. It's a very lonely day when you take an engagement ring back. And because of a broken engagement, it actually turned out to be the best thing that ever happened to me, because during that period of my clinical depression, this is why I was a head coach. So I had to fake it. I was totally depressed. I worked 18 to 20 hours a day at my office. I slept at my office and work really is the only thing that got me through that, to be honest with you. But during that period, I studied confidence. I became an expert at confidence because what I had done I had given all of my confidence to somebody else. And my confidence was predicated by what one person thought about me. And I took it very hard as rejection. Well, as a result of that, I changed my whole mind about rejection. And what I started to say is there is no such thing as rejection. Some will, some won't. So what? Some will like what you have, some will not like what you have. And it was actually a necessary conflict for me to get to the level I am today, because I coach a lot of people on confidence, remarkable boldness, habits of the top performers. Now, when it comes to vision, I do a simple exercise called A to B with every person that I coach. A is your current position in life. B is your desired outcome. And B can be qualitative and it can be quantitative, which means I can measure it. So here would be an example. My coaching company is doing $10 million of revenue per year. I personally make $4 million a year doing what I love doing. I live at our house in Florida 90 days out of the year. I spend X amount of time with my kids per day. I have passive income that is greater than my living expenses. Okay. I spend 85 to 90% of my time doing the 3 crucial activities I love doing. That's the highest and best use of my time for my company. Okay. I'm rejuvenated. I'm dynamic. See, this is a B. Okay. Right. Now, if you're at A, and let's say the company's doing 4 million, 6 million, 8 million, you're trying to get to 10 million, but that's not the only B you have. I also said I have a baseline of how much time I spend with my kids every day. I also said I spend time in Florida rejuvenating. I also said, right? So what I'm doing is I'm trying to cast a vision. And when I ask people, what is your B? They can't tell me. I'm just trying to make it through the day. I'm trying to make a little bit of money. I'm like, no, I need something very tangible. See, to do 10 million a year, you need to do 833, 333.33 every 30 days. Right? You need to get down to the day, 41,667.67 per day in sales, $250,000 per quarter. See what I'm saying? Like when you're thinking about this, not $250,000 a month. I say I've got my numbers right. 10 million. To do 10 million, you got to backtrack. It's what I'm trying to say here.
Yeah.
Okay. And you got to break it down into quarterly, monthly, weekly, and daily. And then this is where you need a big engine, folks. Then you got to go get it. And the part you talk about sacrifice, when I was writing this book on Flip the Switch, I I don't know why I didn't see this before, but the word passion actually means to suffer.
Hmm.
One definition of passion is to suffer.
Hmm.
I'm willing to suffer to have something in the future. The word discipline is a derivative of the word disciple, which means to give yourself to a person or cause you believe in. Okay. If you believe in your future, you have self-discipline, which means you're willing to subordinate what you want now for what you want eventually. And if you're a fitness coach, there's this is a lot of the game, right? It is sacrificing maybe what I want for something in the future. Okay. So when you start breaking these things down, you really start understanding what a coach really does. But how motivated are your clients if the coach is not motivated?
Oh, that's so good. Let's talk about that. So coaches here, and I'll talk to this myself, coming off a slump, coming off a bad week. Sometimes I think, what do I say today?
Yep.
I've been going through a rough patch for the last 12 months.
Yep.
I've been facing blow after blow after blow. One day I got to make a movie. And 98% of people listening to this don't know what I'm even talking about right now. It's like too personal to share. And I'm like, I don't even know, do I even deserve a stage? I think a lot of coaches, we deal with this maybe idea that I have to have it all together. If everything isn't firing on all cylinders, there's no value in what I'm saying. I can't share any struggles if I haven't conquered them. I had a client the other day. She said, I said, you got to get more vulnerable.
Yep.
And she said, but if I get vulnerable, why would they hire me? If they knew I was struggling with this, why would they hire me? Wouldn't they want to hire somebody who's got this all figured out? And I'd love for you to speak to that, because a lot of coaches can't show up today because they feel like they need to arrive somewhere before they're qualified.
Well, there's something I actually don't believe, a lot of people tell you had to find your why to do something big. And that was a very popular book by Simon Sinek. I actually believe in something called because goals. Instead of finding your why, could I know my purpose and still not be motivated? Could I know that I'm supposed to coach and not be motivated today because I had a bad day? See, this is why I like because goals. Because goals are big reasons you do things when you don't feel like it. Because goal, I do this because of this. I believe in people because of this. I became a coach because a coach believed in me. I show up every day because those are the habits of champions. I do this because of this. See, that's a big reason to do something when you don't feel like it, when you're moving from A to B. I do this because I think it changes people's lives. I do this because it matters. Now, to your point about being vulnerable, just because you're a coach doesn't mean that you have it all together, right? You are an expert at something, but life happens and things happen. And the more vulnerable you are, actually, the more you connect with people. And there's a fine line between being vulnerable and just, telling everybody, what's going on in your life, because it's all relative to somebody else. Somebody else is going through something that could be worse than what you're going through. The other night I was heading to a speaking engagement. I reached out to a young lady who interviewed for me 10 years ago. She made an impact on me. I didn't hire her, but she made an impact on me. And I've been following her on Instagram, and she's fighting for her life, battling cancer. And I'm watching her story every day on Instagram. And I just sent her a message. It said, man, I believe in you. I'm fighting for you. I'm praying for you. Just know that. And she texted me back and she said, made my whole day. She said, just you sending me this encouragement today made my whole day. And I said, well, you left a positive impact on me. See, I operate from what I call inspired impressions. When I have an inspired impression to reach out to somebody, call somebody, encourage somebody, believe in somebody, because you are most qualified to help somebody you used to be. Conflict is necessary for expansion, because the coaches you coach, Vince, are going through the same thing you're going through. The people I coach are going through the same things I'm going through. Okay. So that's really what activates us is as we have these inspired impressions, man, to get back to connection. That's why we got in coaching to begin with.
Yeah.
It wasn't for the money. It wasn't for this. It was actually helping people move from A to B.
Yeah.
That's
so good.
Okay.
So, and redefining success, I love to hear, you give us a vision. You're so good at articulating this vision. And I love what you're starting to paint a picture of around point B. And I'm at a place now where, about last year at this time, we ran a big event and we had almost a $2 million weekend, which was something I dreamed of. I always wanted. And all of a sudden after that, everything started falling apart. And I'm like, what the hell's going on? I didn't even feel the win. And have all these investments. We've done very, very well. And there's just this constant anxiety, constant feelings of lack, fear, operating from a place. And I was losing just passion for doing this. I was seeing it as actual work, what I was doing. And I never saw what I did for 16 years as work. Yep. If you had talked to anyone in my family, they'd say, Vince doesn't work. He shows up every day. And I love to hear just, a vision of success that might not be just quantitative. I think we're all very good here to be able to state some quantitative goals. Vision of success that might be a better business, not necessarily a bigger business. And this is something I'm starting to really preach to our students. Do you even know how much money you need to draw each month in order to have your ideal life design? I guarantee 98% of people here don't know that number. What does that number, what will that lead to? Speak to, maybe just inspire us with some vision of what success should look like, could look like. And then let's take some questions in the chat.
Well, I think it goes back to that successful failure, because there's been times in my life I've been very successful and I needed to be a better dad. I needed to be a better husband. I needed to be a better son. I needed to be a better friend. I need to be a better boss, right? There's times in my life I can say, man, I'm clicking on every cylinder here, which is why I like that successful failure. How do you define success? And vision, when it comes to the business, is the purpose of the business is to solve problems. It's to generate enough excess cash that you can reinvest. And you do need to know your business. You do need to know your profit margins. You do need to know your numbers. You do need to know these things because you're running a business. It's not enough for the artist. And I'm sure a lot of fitness trainers see themselves as artists like I do. It's not enough for me to be a great artist if nobody's watching business. I mean, how much money are we actually making? What are our goals? What are we reinvesting in? What are we trying to do? So vision, to me, the easiest exercise is do A to B. A is where you currently are. B is your vision, but it's qualitative and quantitative. Qualitative is, man, just getting a person into action that hasn't been in action is a qualitative win. I got a better attitude this week than I did last week. I'm more positive right now than I used to be. I'm not going to the sewer cycle. See that? Those are qualitative wins for people. Okay. Not necessarily quantitative, but enough qualitative wins many times leads to quantitative results. If I prospect 2 hours a day, if I follow up 7 to 15 touches, if I work my sales cycle, if I show up and be great at my events because I'm rejuvenated and not exhausted, we're going to get business. Okay. But we got to follow up on that business. So I think there's the difference when it comes to vision is, man, vision is applied imagination. It's seeing the world through the mind's eye of what could be. The greatness factory I'm building started in mental creation first. It is moving to physical creation now. Now, pay close attention to what I'm about to tell you. People that have the gift of vivid visualization also have the struggle with catastrophizing, which means you see it in the mind and it's not going the way you want it to. So you immediately go to negative town and you get obsessive and compulsive about it. I'm going to lose everything. Oh my God, I'm going to go broke. Oh my God, I'm going to do this. See, what you're doing is you're going from vivid visualization to all the way to obsession on a negative. It becomes destructive. So I coach a lot of people on how not to go there because I know what it's like because I've been there before. I know it's like to wake up and go, man, I'm going to lose everything. I was losing $250,000 a month in March of 2020 in my coaching business. Why? Pandemic. I make money by speaking. I drive 3,000 leads every 90 days by being in front of people. I love it. Because I'm a coach. I love an audience. I love interaction. I love being on stages. To me, I'm coaching. So during that period, man, I'm taking a huge financial hit, $250,000 a month. I'm losing. And you know what it did? It activated my prey drive. So I came home one night. I told my wife, I said, man, we ain't going out like this. I'm not losing everything because of this. So I started doing virtual events. Vince, I've done 2.5 million in 4 virtual events. I've done 2.5 million of revenue doing virtuals. Now, here's the deal. I would have never done virtuals if it wouldn't have been for the pandemic so that I can learn. Now it's been one of our greatest resources. Now it's been one of the best things we do.
You got to teach me how to do them.
That's right. Yeah, because that's a whole new way. It's a whole new way to coach people that works. And it's a new revenue source. So to me, in every negative, there's a positive. If I could just if I could hang in there long enough to find it.
Yeah. And, we've been doing virtual events for years, but like you've dialed it into like a full blown science, working with the top guys, learning like stuff nobody even knows is going on behind the scenes. So it's a whole world out there. And I think that's what's so cool. When you get in the right room, people give you vision. You don't have any clue of the amount of opportunities there are out there. And, what's your vision these days? I'd love to just speak to the greatness factory as well. I love to, I heard you, talking about that some time ago. And I said, what about Franklin? We going to put one in
Yep.
Franklin or what? You
Yep.
keep teaching me how to get in on that or what? But
Yep.
like when you kind of the studio, the auditorium, the cafeteria, like I need some of that stuff for I don't know if I'm going to do my office in the backyard or if I'm going to do something different, but like your vision has given me a vision for maybe I should do just set something up like this as well.
When moms and dads brought their kids to me at 14 years old, they said, my daughter's got potential. She just needs something, confidence, accountability, structure. And I would say, thank you for bringing your daughter to the greatness factory, because we're going to manufacture her greatness. When I retired from athletic coaching, God gave me a vision in 2016 and said, you need to build greatness factories for adults. These are cool places people can work, learn, grow, connect. It's got 116 person auditorium, podcast studios, dream and incubation rooms, cool dining room. It's a place that great people want to go. There's no telling how much business will be exchanged at a greatness factory. I'm talking millions of dollars of exchange. So there's activation events every month. There's all these components of a greatness factory that bring people together who want to be great. Because the truth is, Vince, if let's say you're living in Franklin, and let's say you decide to be great, you want to reach your potential. Where do you go? See, there is nowhere for you to go. You go to a conference, you go away, you go somewhere. There's nowhere for you to go. You know what? I'm going down the greatness factor, man. And I'm going to get in some courses. I'm going to go to these activation events. I'm going to be around other great people who are motivated. That's the vision of a greatness factory. And we're trying to decide how we want to do this, because I've got interest all over the world for people to have these. Do we want to franchise it? Do we want to license it? Do we want to? So I've got all these people running economic models on how it could work for us to have these. So my vision is greatness factories all over the world. That's my big vision, number one. Number two, we have a success school for students 10 to 17, 17 to 25, where we teach students the habits of the top performers in the world. And there's no school in America, private or public, that teaches kids these habits. So that is a big vision I'm working on as well. That's
incredible. Coach Micheal, tell us where we can find you on social media, and tell us where we can grab a copy of your new book.
Well, to do me a solid, here's the book. Okay. One thing I'll do for the group, Vince, because it's you, if you will email, I got Brock on here on my team, brock@coachburt.com. If you will email your name, email, and phone number to brock@coachburt, I will actually send you a masterclass of me breaking this whole book down on video. Okay.
Walk through those steps again.
Okay. So if you will email brock@coachburt.com, he'll put that in the comments. He's on my team. What I'll do is send you, I took the book and broke it down on video. We're going to give that to you for free. All I need is your name, email, and phone number to send you the masterclass of this. You can get this on Amazon right now. Flip the switch. It's been in the top 20 on Wall Street Journal bestseller list. Got as high as number 11. Up there competing with the big boys and the big girls. I'm on Instagram @Micheal Burt. I do spell it different, so I posted that. There's a lot of impersonators out there, so you want to make sure it's really me. @Micheal Burt. I'll post that in there.
Yeah, there. Guys, and be sure to share this out on your socials right now. If you've been getting lots of value, drop a one-liner. Micheal is full of one-liners, so that was absolute fire. And guys, writing a book is no easy feat, even with 10, 15, 20 years experience, consolidating, condensing all your information, taking all of his wisdom, his lessons, his mistakes along the way in one spot. So that's the least we can do. Let's definitely support him, get those rankings all the way to the top there. So congrats. And Micheal, thank you for the copy. I've got a copy. It's amazing.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me today. Thanks for being so coachable. I believe everybody needs a coach in life. So you're doing good work.
Thank you. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Coach Micheal.
All right. See you guys. Care. Thank you.
All right, guys. That was awesome. We are going to take a couple minute break here, and you guys